Welcome back everyone, I hope you're well. Today we will continue our work with the towers, making them clickable and also making sure we can't place towers where there already are towers. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The issue we need to fix first is if we have a placed tower like so, and then we go and select another tower, we can place it on top of the first one, which is not something that should be allowed or possible. So we need some way of checking before we place it, is there a tower in this tile? If it is, then we will not be able to place it, just like if it's a water tile, we cannot place it. There are probably several ways we can do this. One way would be to have a two-dimensional tower array, just like a 2D integer array for our IDs. And when we place a tower in this two-dimensional array, we create a tower object in that array, and then we can check those coordinates if there's a tower in that array. If it is, then we can't place it. If there is nothing in there, the return is null, then we can place it. But since our game is not going to be very large, we can just check a position of that tile if there is also a tower on that tile position. If there is, then we can't place it. If there is nothing, then we can place it. So we're going to do that instead. And we already have an array for it, the tower array. So we're just going to loop through it. If there is a tower at that position we're trying to check, then we can't place it. In our playing method here, we add yet another check. If get tower at, then we pass in mouse X and mouse Y. If this new method, we actually, add it here. This get tower at, we're just going to change the arguments for X and Y, and then we're going to change it to a tower. So in this method, we make a simple call to our tower manager, and the tower manager deals with the code for this to work. So just return tower manager get tower at X and Y. And then we remove that one. We can probably copy this method. And below draw, we change that to public. Now, how do we do this? Well, we just for tower t tower towers, if t.get x equals x, and if t.get y equals y, return t, otherwise return null. And then we need the brackets there, for some reason we didn't get it, and I can't spell. Return. Jesus. And what we do in this method is simply we go through the towers array. If the tower get x, the one we're checking, is equal to the x we want, then we check also if the tower get y is equal to y. Then we found a match. There is a tower at this position. Return it. So it returns to this method right here. And it returns in here. And it will not be null. So we will not do this part. So we just need to add some brackets here. Whoops. And like so. So if this works, then we shouldn't be able to place a tower where we already placed a tower. So let's place the cannon right there. And let's try to place the archer. Nope, it won't allow us. Now we can't place a tower where there is already a tower. Perfect. Now comes the fun part. Now we would like to select the tower that we already placed and then have some information about it down here. So that's what we're gonna do next. So the idea here is that when we have a placed tower and we click on it, we should have some information show up here. Type of tower, ID, the status, but for now we don't have much. We have position, ID and tower type. But every tower will have a unique ID, so we will probably be able to display that at least, and of course the tower type, and then maybe show the image of that tower. So we can go to our playing here in our mouse clicked. If we are in the map area, but our selected tower is null, then we can check for else. And in here we want get tower if exists on XY. We're gonna make a check here, or we're gonna create a tower here. Tower T equals get tower at X and Y. But we actually need to use mouse X and mouse Y. Like so. If T equals null, then we just return. Else, if it's not null, meaning that we found a tower, then we would like to send the information of this tower, or rather this tower object, to our action bar. So action bar dot display tower. So T. And this function does not exist yet, so let's go into our action bar. Mouse clicked, we can put it, let's just put it below draw here. Public void display tower. And we need a tower T as argument. We could probably take this tower and set it to our selected tower. I think it would work, but there could also be some weird bugs later on. So let's just, for simplicity, let's just keep them separate. So private tower displayed tower. So now we have two different towers. One when we want to place a tower and one when we want to display a tower. So we can say displayed tower equals T. And in our draw method here, below buttons, we can have our displayed tower draw displayed tower G. And we're gonna create that method. The first check we ever do is if displayed tower is equal to null, or rather not null. Then we can display it. So what do we want to display? Well, let's just start with the image of that type of tower. So g.drawImage, we will need a width and height because it's custom sized, and like so. And how did we get images before? Okay, like so. And we just copy that and place it, but we don't have an ID to go on, but we do have a display tower to use, and we can get the tower type for the ID, or rather the correct image. Let's just try 500 for X, and for Y we have 640 as the line, so let's go 700, and for width 50, 50 and null. And let's save that. And let's see if we can get something to show. Maybe I forgot something, but let's try. So let's place a tower, and if we click, they should show some image somewhere here. How about that? Yeah, let's just begin with that. Let's, if we click somewhere else on the map where there's no tower, then we don't want that to show. So we want to deselect it. So let's go here, and you know what? Let's comment this out, because what's going to happen is if there is no tower, then we get null. We send this null tower in here, and this display tower gets null. So let's try and see if that just does the trick. Place it, click on it, we get it, good. Click somewhere else, we remove it. Yeah, I think that's going to work well enough. So yeah, now we can deselect it as well, which is very good. But let's reposition this a little bit. Let's just remove that. That looks pretty good. And let's go to our action bar and play around with these values a little bit. So we have some decent position for it. Now let's get some text up here. And I don't think we have used strings, maybe we have, but g.draw string to get a string. And we simply select what we want and then position for it. And we want type, so we're gonna start with nothing and then plus. Depending on what type it is, we need some string to get it, but do we have that somewhere? No. So we need to go to our constant class, bring that one up. So we add a getter here, public static string get name int tower type. And we add a switch tower type case cannon return cannon. And if we manage to pass in some weird integer, we just return nothing. So we get the string from towers.getName display tower get tower type, like so. And for x and y, we probably want them to be 470. We're gonna keep the same y, so 650. Let's see how that looks. Well, we could absolutely move the text, so let's move that around. So I think I found a decent position. You can play around with the position as much as you want. But now we have an archer, and let's see. Oops. We need to set a color for it. Otherwise, it's gonna do that. So before string, we say g.set color, color.black, or whatever color you want. But black is gonna do well here. So wizard, and doesn't affect, good. And let's place the ID as well. So let's copy this, draw it again. And instead of the name, we say ID. And we remove all of that. And we go display tower.getID. Position, same X. But we want the Y to increase, say 80, so it's 20. That might be good. I don't know. Let's see. We could probably move it up a bit. Yeah, so I think 15 is the sweet spot. And I think we're gonna need to add some borders here as well to make it look a little bit nicer. So I cleaned up the display tower information a little bit. First, we set a color of gray to fill a rectangle as a background. And then we set the color black to draw two rectangles. One for a little rectangle around the tower that we selected, and the other one as the big rectangle around everything. And then we draw the image of the selected tower, and then we have something called g.setFont. Just like any document you have, you can change the font, and you can do that here as well. So first we say what type of font, and then we say the font, if it should be bold, italic, or italic bold, and then we decide what type of size they should have. And you can play around with this as much as you want, but this is how you pick a font, and then you just need to search for a font that you want. You can use whatever font you want. And when you set the font, only the text after you say set font will be affected of that font. You can have different sections with different fonts if you like, but that's how you set a new font. After we set a new font, we display the tower type as a name, and also lastly we add the ID for that tower. And I think we reached a good point. We have some background for our selected tower, the name, or rather the type of tower, and also the ID for now. Later we will have much more, but we can also select another tower. We have archer, and the cannon. So yeah, that's some good progress right there. We can select the tower and we can see some information about the tower. Later on we will add buttons for upgrade, sell, etc, etc. But this is a good stopping point for now. And that is what we will do. We have reached the end of this episode, and I would like to thank you for watching. And hopefully you learned something. And if you think I've earned it, please leave a like and also hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next episode. I'm not quite sure yet what that will be about, and unless we need to work more on the basics of our towers, we will move into some game combat. But that will be for the next update, and until then, I wish you the best and I hope to see you in the next video as well. Bye!